Today, I'm joined by Wendi Aarons, who recently wrote a really, really funny memoir called I'm Wearing Tunics Now. And I want to find out she's actually wearing a tunic right now. On growing older, better, and a hell of a lot louder. Now, you know, I'm all three of those now. I'm definitely older. I think I'm getting better at some things. And I am definitely louder. So, Wendi, welcome to GRUFFtalk.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and have a little talk.
Yeah, and some fun because, you know, I'm really used to having like scientists and researchers and doctors on the show. And this is a real treat for me. Like I'm really talking to someone who is genuinely funny. So I can relax. I feel like I can relax a little bit with this episode. You know, we kind of, you know, I'm sitting up really straight for you too, but you know what I mean? I can relax my body a little bit.
You can relax.
All right, we have to know. Wendi.
Yes.
Are you wearing a tunic right now? I mean, I can see you, so it doesn't look like it.
Well, it's a sweater tunic.
Is it a tunic?
Yeah, it's like a winter tunic.
I love it. Okay. And I also like to ask, where are you tuning in from?
I am in Austin, Texas.
And that's where you live?
Yeah, I've lived here about 25 years.
And we were chatting a little bit before, and we both acknowledged that we each have our dogs in the rooms with us. And I was saying, I really hope that my dog, Pete, who's a Brittany, doesn't start snoring because he tends to do that. So if he does, well, everyone, that's what it is.
Yes. And I have Teddy, the Bichon, behind me, and I took him for a long walk. So hopefully he's going to be calmed out.
So he's good. Yeah. Pete's sound asleep and Teddy is sound asleep too, it sounds like. So, and what did you have for breakfast today, Wendi?
I don't usually eat breakfast, and I know that's a big no-no, but I just have coffee.
No, it's not a no-no, especially, I mean, if you do like intermittent fasting, it's a yes.
That's
to
true.
not eat,
and
right?
I went on a hike with two friends, and any exercise we got from the hike was negated by the fact that we stopped at a taco place, and I had this is awful, but it was delicious, but a taco with mashed potatoes, chicken, and cheese in it.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that made up for no breakfast, right?
That made up for no breakfast. It'll probably be my dinner too.
And you have two sons. We were also talking. I have two daughters. You have two sons. Both of my daughters are out of school and working adults. And your two sons, I believe, are both in college, or?
They're both in college. This is our first year having an empty nest, my husband and I. One's in London and one's in Oregon. So I've been telling people that if I write another book, I maybe want to make it about an empty nest, the empty nest situation and what's funny about it. But I haven't found anything funny about it yet. It's still, I know.
No. Oh, I so know. And for me, my youngest decided that she wanted to go to school in Scotland. So she went to the University of St. Andrews for 4 years, then came home during COVID, you know, for that one summer. And then, of course, there was no proper graduation for her and her colleagues. But and then she went back again to get her master's at the University of Edinburgh. So she was gone for 5 years, and that was very tricky for me. And my older daughter ended up, after college, moved to South Carolina. So both of my girls are living way too far away. I want to be able to, you know, I mean, I'd like a Kennedy compound where everyone lives, right? I mean, isn't that the ideal?
Yeah.
Not in the same house.
Or at least a few trailer houses put together. I could do that. But yeah, you're in the same boat as you were in the same boat as me with Sam being in London. And it's great because we can go visit him. It's more exciting than visiting him in, you know, College Station, Texas or something. But it's tough.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. But London is great. Let's look at the bright side. But you're right. There's a lot of material here for you to work with. I hope you do write that book because I think, you know, there's so many different experiences, but I think that the common thread is that it's hard for all of us, no matter what we say.
Yeah, and the way I look at the world, or the way I make sense of the world, is I try to see what's funny about it. You know, how can I spin this and make sense of it and get a laugh out of it? And I haven't been able to do that with Empty Nest yet, but hopefully,
not yet.
What do they say? Tragedy plus time equals comedy. So, yeah. Not that it's a tragedy,
well, you definitely proved that statement to be true with your book, with your really, really funny book. I mean, clearly you embraced humor. I mean, that's what you do. You're a very funny woman. to kind of convey your experience to all of us, your experience with getting older and motherhood and everything else that you encountered so far in your life. And, there's a lot more ahead, right? As you just said, there are more books coming from you. There's no question about it. So I really want to say upfront and very out loud, because that's, part of what we're talking about, right? Like, we're much louder now as we've gotten older, right, Wendi? And I really did enjoy your book. I'm Wearing Tunics Now, but I was a little skeptical, because I do take this whole thing about positive aging and embracing your age. For anyone who's listened to my podcast or read anything I've written, that's what I do. And I really want people to embrace aging. So I was like, I get very grumpy whenever anybody starts to poke fun at getting older. But then when I read the book, I was very open-minded. That's not what I encountered at all. It was just really, as you said before, it was your very funny way and in words that we can all relate to. That's what I think makes your book so great. We can all relate to the experiences that you had. And yes, you have that gift for being able to kind of like confront parts of life that can be very tricky and challenging, and find the funny. And that was really, really great. So and you are funny. I am not funny. I've never been funny. I never will be funny. And I have a bunch of people who can attest to that, including my husband and 2 daughters, who think I should get an award for being the worst storyteller. I mean, you can hear just from me, I'm like rambling. The worst storyteller and joke teller in the world. I forget the punchline and everything else. So I really want to know, you must be like keeping your family in stitches all day long. Or do they sometimes say, no, Mom, stop it. Stop.
No, I didn't grow up as a funny kid. I'm pretty quiet. I'll make like the witty observation, but I don't like being the center of attention. I don't like charge into a room and do a little comedy routine. But I definitely have a sense of humor. When I was a kid, I gravitated towards humor. There wasn't a lot out there like there is now, but I was kind of the precocious 8-year-old walking into the city library and checking out Irma Bombeck books. Because, I say I identified with suburban housewife humor at a very young age, but I loved her voice. I loved her observations about just ordinary life and how she made them turn out to be so funny. So that she was probably my biggest influence as a kid. But yeah, I gravitated towards anything like the Carol Burnett Show and Laverne and Shirley. I loved all of that. And it didn't come out in a loud way with me. I would be the kid that would whisper something funny to somebody in class, and then they'd say it out loud and they'd get the laugh, and I'd be over there like, but I didn't have the confidence yet, which I really didn't have till I was in my 40s to start being really out and loud with my humor. So, it was a long journey for me. But if you know me well, I'm really, really funny with a small group of people, but it's taken many years for me to get out in front of an audience and be funny.
Well, that's one reason, I guess, why being a humor writer is so much easier for you, given what you've just said, because you can just sit there and, it can all come out. All your talent can come out without the audience.
Without the audience.
Physically there.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
There's a term that I've seen, I might have even been on your book cover, but it was used in several things I've seen written about you, and it's late bloomer. And you yourself just described how you were in your 40s by the time you got comfortable and, really found your comfort zone, if you will, with all of this. But that's a term I just hate so much. And let me tell you why. And I'm curious what your thoughts are. Because I get it. I get the concept. I mean, I could say that about myself too. I did a lot of new things after turning 50. It was like, the floodgates opened up for me. I started running marathons. I wrote my first book, blah, blah, blah. And so one could say, well, Barbara, you were a late bloomer. And here's what I think about that. No, I wasn't ready to start running until then. No, I wasn't ready to write that book until then. I didn't have anything to say until then. So I don't like that term late bloomer. You were ready in your 40s.
I was ready. And
you were ready.
I will say, I didn't give myself the late bloomer title. I think that was added by the publisher. But yeah, I wasn't ready. I didn't have anything I needed to tell the world until I got to this age. And, you read in the book, everything I've done up until this point made me who I am and gave me what I can put in context to say now. But yeah, I wasn't ready until
So
now.
you agree? Yay!
I agree.
So tell me about, based on everything you've just been saying, and your writing is so wonderful. You are witty, intelligent, very funny, and relatable, which is what I find so very appealing. Why clearly your readers do too. But so, are you also, or have you tried being a stand-up comic? I know you said before you don't like the attention, all that, but have you done that? I know you give talks, but
I give talks. I've never done stand-up. That I'm terrified of it, and I respect it so much as an art form, and I think it's just there's so much craft that goes into it. So I have not done it yet, but I did ghostwrite somebody's stand-up act that was on Showtime. So that was kind of the closest I got to it.
That's fun.
But yeah, so it's kind of one of those, maybe I should push myself and try it at some point. I have done improv, which is a little less scary because you're with a group of people and it's more like you're playing a game. But yeah, we'll see.
Like an improv class?
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
so
well,
did I.
Yeah, it's fun.
In New York City. I did it
wow.
at what is the name of it? And I can't think of it now. Upright Citizen Brigade.
That's the one Amy Poehler founded.
Exactly. And that's, I did it because, like you, I'm actually really an introvert, and I couldn't imagine, as you were just describing, standing up, and I do give talks around the country and virtually, but I couldn't imagine really doing anything like that. So I really pushed myself out of my comfort zone. Yeah. And this was actually in my 50s also. It was like about maybe 8 years ago I did it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I am okay if I get up there and I can read from a piece of paper and I kind of perform like one of my humor pieces. Mm-hmm. But that's a little bit different than just getting up there and telling jokes on the fly. I don't know. Even you talking about it's making me kind of sweaty.
And didn't you find improv like really fun? But I found it very hard because for all the reasons we were saying, just very challenging.
It's challenging. And, I thought, I'll be great because I'm very quick-witted, but that is not how you play. You just have to keep the action going and you are bouncing off of everybody else, which is exhilarating, but yeah, much harder than I thought it would be. Much
harder. I mean, really. But isn't that part of what, we all, I don't like to use the word should, but I'm getting lazy now, should try to do as we get older is to try new things.
100%.
Maybe things that we were not ready to try, like we were saying before about running or writing or whatever.
Yeah.
Earlier in our lives. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. There's no reason to wait. I mean, there really isn't. And I think, in my case anyway, my ego can take if I'm humiliated because I get up there and I bomb on stage, I'm okay. I mean, it's not going to crush me. It's not going to make my life terrible. I'm confident enough that I'll be like, okay, I tried that. Didn't work out. I'll try something else. So yes. And thank you you're making me think I need to get up on stage and do this in the next year.
Oh, I think you'd be great because I could see you already. You are, who would I compare you to? Well, who do you think is like the funniest person out there right now? Like who do you say, oh, I wish I, was as funny as that person? Is there someone?
Martin Short, I will love till the end of time. I think he's so funny, but I love Wanda Sykes as a stand-up. And she just has such a great voice and such
great delivery.
Writing is so good. Yeah, great delivery. And I don't have, you can hear my voice. I have kind of a soft little girl voice. I don't have like that attitude in her voice or that she has in her voice, which I wish I did, but I just think she's the funniest person. I saw her in concert a couple months ago and and I'm not like a laugh out loud person. I'm just more kind of smile and chuckle, but my stomach hurt because I was laughing so much.
That's funny. I am trying to think of some like stand-up comedians. Just trying to think back who are really more like you know, with, you know, not with that kind of Wanda Sykes attitude, but a little low key, who just deliver these incredibly, like you don't see it coming, I think is the point.
Yeah.
And I could see you being that way, like it builds, but you don't see it coming. And then boom, there it is.
I could do that.
Oh, you should definitely do it. Oh, okay. Yay. I'm applauding you. You've got to do it. You have to do it.
I'll check back with you.
Yeah, definitely. You'll be back on and you'll give us all the updates. So, we talked about who you think is so funny. Let's go over to really the topic that's so near and dear to my heart, and that's aging. Yep, aging. Getting older, embracing it, and all that stuff. What made you decide that you needed to write this book right now at this time?
I had I've always taken inspiration for whatever phase of life I'm in. And I did write, parenting humor a little bit, but I never found that very interesting. And so once I got to middle age, I'm like, there's a lot of humor in this that's unexplored. So I
you
wrote
mean
a couple
beyond
pieces.
the, oh my gosh, where are my glasses? Oh yes, they're on my head. Ha,
exactly.
Thank
to me,
you.
that's just so cliched and stereotypical. But there's, and like I said, I make sense of the world by using my humor. So I had gone to, there's a chapter in the book called I'm Wearing Business Casual Now, where I went back and tried to find a job after a long time of not having a job. And it was
something that a lot of women can relate to, by the way.
And it was, humiliating is too strong a word, but it was very, I didn't really fit in with who I was interviewing with, and they didn't really, they didn't know what to make of me. I was much older than everybody. I had too much experience, but also too little experience. And, I don't want to claim ageism, but it just felt like I was being condescended to, kind of. I don't know.
Oh, but you should claim ageism because it exists. I'm not saying that was your own personal experience, but ageism is still a huge issue in this country.
Ageism is still there. And it made me feel kind of small afterwards. It was really unsettling. And so I'm not the type of writer that's going to write an amazing op-ed about ageism and women going back to work after staying home. I'm not good at that. That's not my skill set. So what I did instead was write a quiz, a satiric quiz called "We Can't Ask Your Age in This Job Interview, but Please Take This Quiz About Rotary Phones." So, it was kind of like, do you know what a SASE is? Kind of like we're weeding you out based on your age, but we're going to be more sly about it. So that to me, like, that's
so
how
funny.
I like.
Wendy, that's so funny.
Thank you. And that one, it struck a nerve because all these people, in midlife who read it were like, oh yeah, like you hit it, instead of being like strident and angry and, like pissed off about it. I came at it at a different angle and, exposed the truth of it through making people laugh, which is my favorite way to do things.
Well, you do it very, very well. And I read a review of your book somewhere that said, and I quote, Wendi Aarons is Gen X's answer to Phyllis Diller. What do you think about that? I mean, I don't know. I was like, what? I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I don't know about that. Well, I did dress as Phyllis Diller for Halloween one year. And my husband was Ted Cassell. What was that his name? The sportscaster. Howard Cassell.
Oh, Howard Cassell. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
so we looked really funny.
But Phyllis Diller had that husband. What was his name? Fang, not Fang.
Fang. Yeah. No, there was a Fang in there.
There was a Fang somewhere.
What's interesting about her is she was a very beautiful woman, but women weren't very respected or respected at all in stand-up. So she made herself look a little bit wild with the wig and the hair and the long cigarette holder and everything.
Yep.
So she would be accepted, not like so the male gaze wouldn't look at her as an attractive woman telling jokes. So she put that barrier up, which was kind of a key to her success. And I find that pretty fascinating that she had to do that.
But she felt she had to do it.
She felt she had to do that. And, you know, things have changed, obviously. But, I don't know. I think she was a little bit more broad humored than I am. So I don't know if I'd make that comparison. But she's considered a comedic genius. So I guess
right.
I'll
So
take
that's
that part of
not
it.
bad.
Yeah.
Not
not bad.
And you've mentioned already, you know, how you use humor to really confront life's twists and turns, some of the more, you know, challenging ones in particular. And do you find that's just true throughout your life? I mean, you know, throughout real life, not just in your writing? And
yeah, it's been my coping mechanism since I was young, and I'm very lucky that I've had an ordinary life. I have had the typical challenges, but I've never had huge things that I've had to overcome, knock on wood. But even that said, you know, there's times where you get your heart broken, or, you know, you're disappointed, or somebody's not very nice to you. And my mechanism is, you know, I'll cry sometimes, but then I'll think of like, what's funny about this, or where can I go with this to make myself feel better? And I was actually just interviewed by the New York Times Well section about how powerful levity is in life. And it's true. It's, you know, I say if I'm having a bad day, or there's, you know, I'm just feeling out of sorts, I have my go-to humor things I can, you know, shows I watch, or books I read, or a friend I'll text, or there's just something that's the way I cope with it. I'm not somebody who's going to go find a journal and write deep, dark poetry. It's just not me. So if you have that part of your personality, you know, lean into it, because it will really save you a lot of bad feelings.
That's great about the column in the Well section. And is that already out? Because I'd like to have a link to it. If not, I'll. Yeah,
no, I'll send you the link. It's a really interesting article.
Oh, definitely, everyone. I'll make sure I have the links to really all of this that we've referenced, including your book, of course, and your website, but definitely to that. And coincidentally, one of the top columnists from the Well section of the New York Times, who was there for many, many, many years, who recently moved over with a few other people, actually, to the Washington Post, Gretchen Reynolds. She is my guest next week. So cool. Everyone tune in. Yeah. I'm a big fan of the Well section from the New York Times, and now the, whatever they call it at the Washington Post, you know, wherever Gretchen Reynolds, I have such a girl crush on Gretchen Reynolds, because she talks all about exercise and aging. And so she's the guest on the show next week, everyone.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I can't believe I missed it, but, I'm looking forward to that. So, what is next for you? So let's review. We've already covered a few things. So there is another book, at least another book. By the way, speaking of books, will you write another book for the middle school age group? Because you've written a great book for the middle-aged kids.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, not middle-aged kids, middle school kids. And
middle school kids.
Middle-aged people. So tell us about that.
That's Ginger Mancino, kid comedian. And I had never really tried to write fiction before, but a couple people saw me in a show and thought I was really funny, and asked if I wanted to write a middle grade book. And I thought about it, and I thought, you know, when I was that age, I would have loved something about a funny kid, a funny girl, because I just hadn't found anything. So Ginger Mancino is about a 12-year-old girl named Ginger who was a stand-up kid comedian, and she gets dropped when she gets to that awkward phase and has to start again at a regular middle school and find her way to fit in. And she gets mysterious texts giving her advice from stand-up comedians and actresses like Amy Poehler and Tina Fey and Mindy Kaling that kind of give her advice. But I'm really proud of that book, and I've been talking at schools. I just spoke at the Ann Richards School for Girls to about 100 sixth grade girls. And
that's great.
Yeah, it's fun to see them light up. And, a lot of kids are like me, where they make sense of the world through humor, and they maybe don't know how to do that necessarily. So, they get a lot of writing classes in school that are more, expository writing or writing reports or writing fiction and poetry, but not a lot of them have a teacher saying, here, I want you to go write 5 jokes and get back to me, that sort of thing. So I do these humor writing classes with them sometimes too. And they're so much fun. And
you do that, Wendi, for kids as well as adults, right?
Yeah. I'm doing a humor writing class, a couple of them this summer, but I have one that's going to open soon for the Writers League of Texas, and it's on Zoom, so anybody could do it. But even if you're...
Oh, that's wonderful. We'll make sure to have some information about that in the show notes as well.
Good. But I think even if you're writing something that's not truly humor, you can always infuse some of it into your work. Or, I'm a huge believer that a funny email goes a lot farther than, a complaining email. So, humor really can open up doors for you if you use it well.
And put people at ease too, especially if they feel that maybe you're confronting them about a problem.
Exactly.
Right? And no, that's really great advice. I know I could certainly inject some humor into what I do. There's no question. As I mentioned many times today, though, I am not funny and never will be. So I think I should take your class. Oh, absolutely.
No, you appreciate humor, and that's a big thing. The people that
and I smile a lot, if that helps.
You smile a lot. The people that don't ever laugh at my jokes, humor is subjective, but it's also, if somebody is kind of humorless, I don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, no, you know what? There really isn't anything you can do about it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that up. And also, I think that one of the great things I've discovered about myself and other women and some men too, as we've gotten older, is that I don't take myself as seriously as I did. I just don't. Like you mentioned before, like, if I went up on stage and I bombed right now, I'd be okay with it. Maybe 20 years ago, you would not have been okay with it. It would have been probably a devastating blanket over the head experience. But now it's like, I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
And I'd love to know what's really behind that. It's just that we all have more confidence
we have more confidence. And that's, my book is called I'm Wearing Tunics Now. And tunics is a metaphor. It means I'm wearing confidence. I don't care what other people are thinking when they look at me. I mean, I do to some extent, but not like as much as
we all do to
some
extent, but it's different.
Yeah, it's different. And I'm wearing a tunic. I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm wearing what I feel good in, and it doesn't matter if it's in style. I mean, hopefully I'm in style somewhat, but I don't put that much importance on it anymore, and it's freeing, and it just, you move through the world easier, I think, at this age. I do.
Couldn't agree more. And in fact, I wanted to mention something that I saw somewhere. I attributed to, I think you or somebody who reviewed your book, but that you kind of feel like, your book is right in the middle between when we were hip and when you're breaking one. Something like
Nancy,
that. To which I thought, wait a minute, aren't we still hip? We can still be hip.
We're still hip, yeah.
We're still hip, exactly right.
She said that very much tongue-in-cheek. Nancy's my friend who had the Midlife Mixtape podcast, and she would be at concerts every night of the week, no matter what, and wasn't letting anything stop her.
So let's get back to what we were saying about what's next for you before we close out. So we've decided, yes, there's more books in your future. Good for us. Yay. Very good for us. And you are going to go on stage. You're going to try it out. You're going to try it
out. You know what? I'll pack the audience with friends and family.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah. Buy them each a drink so they have to laugh no matter what.
Exactly.
But I think it's like anything. It's like ripping off the Band-Aid. The first time's terrifying, and then it gets easier if I do it more than once. But
right. That's right. That's right.
Well, you should try it too.
Sorry?
You should try it too, or at least try Well, okay.
Just like you were saying before, the idea is like making you so scared. Like right now, I just like, no. No, I'm so happy, like, just sitting behind here, writing my little books and stuff, whatever I do. But I do like giving talks. It's a way, it's like in a way, it's a form of acting because you can stand up and you just pretend you're somebody else and do a great job. But comedy is a whole different art. It's an art form.
It's an art form. I mean, like I said, I hold it in such high esteem that I wouldn't want to go out there and just, make a disaster on the stage. So we'll see.
Oh, I'll
find a low stakes stage to do it on.
To your book and your website and your classes, which I think is a great idea. And you'll stay in touch with me. I'll stay in touch with you. You will be back because we want a full report on how that first stand-up thing did. And everybody will also going to put in some links about how they can follow you on social media, which everybody should be. You're very, very funny. You're a charming, a delight. And I'm just so happy that you spent this time with me today.
Well, thank you. This was really lovely. And I can't wait to hear it. And it's so great. I've been watching your face this whole time, too. And that's wonderful to have a connection like this, too.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendi. We will see you soon.